Hi, I'm Angela Winkler and I'm presenting my capstone information. My topic is women in leadership, barriers women face in achieving top-level executive positions and how to overcome them. Today we know that women are found in every sector of the workplace, from retail to aerospace engineering to businesses. A recent study by Joseph Zanger and Folkman showed that 53% of all new hires in American businesses today are women. That same study went on to say that 37% are supervisors and only 3% of CEOs are women. So where's the disconnect? If the majority of new hires are female, why aren't we seeing that equality in top-level leadership? This study went on to research that perhaps it is leadership style. So they wanted to see the overall leadership effectiveness by gender for these different positions. The results were surprising. They showed that the higher level leadership women achieved, the greater their overall leadership effectiveness was, even outpacing their male counterparts. So, for example, top management executive senior team members, 67% of females were reported and scored at an overall leadership effectiveness, whereas only 55% of males at that same position. Wanting to understand a little bit further, the research went on to see if females are actually outpacing men in the workplace as new hires and are actually doing a great job as leaders. Is it something that they are just not aspiring to? Is that why there's a lack of women leaders? The study found that the higher women got in leadership, the more they actually wanted to attain. So desire was not an issue and effectiveness was not an issue. The researchers were stumped as to where the disconnect was, and that's where my paper came in. This is what I am researching as well. So there's been a ton of studies on different things and different types of barriers and bringing those out. And from all of my research, I have found that there's 4 main barriers women face. Personal anxiety over performance is number 1. Number 2 is guilt over family obligations and duties. Number 3, a lack of professional opportunities, and number 4, sexism, misogyny, and sexual harassment. So let's talk a little bit about those barriers and then ways to overcome them. Barrier number 1 is personal anxiety. This is going to manifest itself in a lot of ways, and sometimes that's hard to research. But a really great study by Bernstein showed that women tend to underestimate their math skills and science skills, especially during test taking. If women had to report their gender on the cover letter or the cover page of their test, like mark which gender they are, they scored lower than when they did not have to differentiate their gender. Women on average said and underestimated their scores would be about 10% lower than they actually were. And men tended to do the opposite. Men tended to overestimate what their scores would be. During these college entrance exams that Bernstein studied, women actually outperformed men on these studies kind of across the board in both areas of math and science, yet women went on to enroll in these high-level math college and science college classes 5 times less than men, and every time they reported not being good at that discipline or not doing well. Another way that this manifests itself is in their lack of confidence in their abilities. A recent study, a groundbreaking study by Korn Ferry Institute that studied all of the current Fortune 1000 CEOs that are female. There's 96 of them, and all 96 participated in this study. One of the questions that they asked was, when did you know that you would be CEO? Or that you could be CEO. 65% of the respondents reported when someone else told them they could be CEO. 65% of the female CEOs reported that. So lack of confidence inhibits career growth in many ways. Another barrier that women are facing is their family obligations. While paternity leave is becoming more and more common, maternity leave is what is widely offered. The U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics in 2012 did a large study on families. They found that 30% of wives earned more than their husbands before having children, yet only 12% of men took paternity leave. So the inference there is that it doesn't matter who's making more money or who has more career potential, the woman is going to be staying home and primarily responsible for the children. Another huge issue is finding adequate childcare. That same study found that it does not actually matter how much income a woman has. she is going to be worried about her childcare, with 52% of women making $30,000 or less reporting that they are unable to find adequate childcare, and 53% of women making over $100,000 a year reported the same. The study also reported that men who are fathers reported no trouble finding childcare, with only 4% of men replying saying that they found some level of difficulty in finding childcare. The inference there would be that 100 of these men had children and only 4 found any type of difficulty finding childcare or even responsibility for it. The same study went on to say that women carry the stress of family responsibilities just as men do, yet only women report it as a negative in their workday. So another example of barriers for women in their career is a lack of opportunity. Recently, a South Carolina school came under fire for a gender-divided career day at their school that their district offered. The boys were sent to a hotel where they wore suits and ties, and they had a leadership summit where they were taught by local businessmen and entrepreneurs in the community about leadership and business. The girls were offered an opportunity to go to the local high school gym. They sat on the gym floor and they made t-shirts while the varsity cheerleaders talked to them about teamwork. These two different activities show a great divide in opportunities that were offered. One particularly only for the boys and one only for the girls. No one in the district, no one in the community, no one saw any issue with only offering these 2 items based on a gender segregation. And this continues in every aspect of life for women as they are starting out and trying to get into their careers. Another huge barrier for women is sexism and sexual harassment in the workplace. Harvard Business Review did a study on sexual harassment, found that the majority of sexual harassment is from coworker to coworker. In fact, coworkers are 3 times more likely to harass their fellow coworker. Unfortunately, reporting sexual harassment can also derail a woman's career. There have been several studies, but including the one by Harvard Business Review, it found that actually the higher in management or leadership a woman got in her career, the more she reported sexual harassment as a problem, but the less likely she would be to have to report it since it derails her career. Some tangible evidence of that would be in the Ivy League. Professors who, there's about an equal amount of assistant professors that are men and women in Ivy League. Tenured professors, only 27% of them are female. All of the female professors that were denied tenure or still trying to get tenure had all reported sexual harassment of their colleagues to students. So as women are interviewing for jobs and trying to get into different levels of leadership, sexism is another thing that stands in their way. A study done by Harvard Business Review, and in addition to some researchers, Jay Bernstein, they did a huge human resources simulation. So they had human resources department all over the country in all different aspects of jobs and careers. They were given a career that they had to find, or a job that they had to find a suitable employee for. Across the board, for the same job, men were given preference, even if they were less qualified than a woman candidate. Across the board, women were offered $11,000 less for the same job that they offered for the man. And across the board, women were offered, if they were found to be mothers, they were given a stricter attendance policy, offered less vacation days and less sick days than men or women that were not mothers. This type of gender bias is extremely common. And when confronted or given the reason, these human researchers, and this is men and women alike, said that women might be more emotional on the job or would be caring for families, and they would not be as valuable as an employee. So these are all barriers that women are facing. Ways that they can overcome them are going to depend on each barrier. So for the personal anxiety and performance issue, as women step into different roles, there's a lot of different types of organizations specifically helping women, entrepreneurs for women, business women, many different types of mentorships available, which is going to be a great tool. Family obligations and finding childcare is another barrier that women are overcoming and companies are helping with. We see a lot of companies offering to have pre-tax childcare. They are doing reimbursements for childcare, having childcare on business sites, and offering women and men, mothers and fathers, the ability to work from home in some different types of flexible working environments. Lack of opportunities for women are decreasing. Right now, currently in 2020, the majority of college graduates will actually be women. Women are outpacing men in graduating from college and earning degrees in all disciplines currently. Sexism and misogyny would be the only barrier that women themselves cannot overcome alone. But they are also making great strides in this area. California, for example, has passed a law where all businesses with 15 employees or more will need to have all of their employees take a course on sexual harassment, how to prevent it, how to identify it, how to report it. And then there's a mandatory test and certification that goes along with it, which is a great start. As American businesses and businesses in general and society kind of shifts to see the effectiveness and the value of women in the workforce, there will continue to be a shift where women will be making up these levels of leadership. Sheryl Sandberg in her book Lean In says, "Soon there will not be such a thing as women leaders, there will just be leaders." I chose this topic because I am a woman that is majoring in business. I love business. I'm excited to pursue a career, and I do hope to attain these top level executive position leadership roles. Thank you for watching.